Hello, fellow Toastmasters. Welcome to another Peter Ward podcast. I am your host, Peter Ward. The subject today is storytelling. A story is a narrative that is designed to interest, amuse, or instruct the listener. Stories have the ability to highlight important moments and memories. They can connect you to others through empathy and shared experiences. Telling a story can be more engrossing for an audience than a typical speech or presentation. When listeners are absorbed in another story, their emotional response triggers the brain to create memories. The best educators use learning with powerful storytelling to help their students remember important facts and information. Stories make a powerful impact as the primary point of a speech or a small part of a larger presentation. It is the speaker's decision how to best incorporate a story into a speech for the greatest effect. Every story reflects the storyteller and her experiences. As you prepare a story to include in a speech or presentation, there are several important elements to consider. Stories serve many purposes in a speech. They can help you connect with an audience, overcome resistance, and form a connection that allows you to teach an important lesson or explain a difficult concept. Stories open the door for meaningful communication. Weaving stories through a presentation can help audience members recall facts and information they might forget without a memorable story as a reference point. Be mindful of the occasion and your audience when determining the tone and emotional content of your story. Regardless of the occasion, share a story that resonates positively with your audience. A story told at a wedding or funeral may be moving, funny, or both. The most important component in choosing your topic is relating to the audience and the event. Descriptive language paints a mental picture. When telling a story, well-chosen words evoke specific imagery to illustrate your point. A good story's eloquent descriptions can transport her audience to another place and time. When writing your story, keep in mind the amount of time you have to deliver it to your audience. For example, if you choose to tell a story about a friend and her extraordinary life by describing a meal you shared in a beautiful location, the goal is to talk about your friend. As lovely as the trees and the view were, some of these details may have to be eliminated in order to tell the core story of your friend's remarkable life. Use expressive dialogue in your story. Instead of telling the audience what was said, share the actual dialogue. Write it out in the format of a script with characters saying the lines. The best storytellers take on different roles as they tell stories. An outline provides the framework for your story in the same way it does for the creation of a speech or other presentation. Planning makes all the difference when you present to an audience. Your outline should include information about your story's introduction, conflict, and action. The introduction should summarize the main point of your story in one sentence and establish the setting, including the time frame and location of your story. List the people or characters involved. Every story has an issue to be resolved or challenged between two opposing forces. State the challenge to be overcome. Your challenge can be between a person and nature. You were stuck in the rain trying to get home. Between two people, you and another both want the last sweet in a case at the market, between a person and an organization. You would like to mail a letter and the post office closed 5 minutes before you arrive. Between a person and an object. Your shoe is caught in the door. Stories move forward as characters strive to overcome the challenges they face. List your story's main events and plot. Give your story a clear opening, body, and conclusion. Rehearsal is important when preparing for any speech, but storytelling may require extra time. If you include dialogue, rehearse the different voices in your story. This does not mean you have to be an expert at creating characters. Even a slight variation in tone can give the impression of a different speaker. Storytelling is a performance. In addition to maintaining a confident speaking posture, use your body to help tell your story. Facial expressions and gestures add to characterization and bring your story to life. When you tell your story, do so from your own perspective. The closer the audience is to the people in the story, the more real it becomes. By making the story your own, you bring your audience on the adventure with you. Use the pace of the story to keep your audience engaged. For example, speak more quickly to show action or excitement during appropriate parts of the story. Pause to add drama to a specific section or to give your audience time to assimilate important points. Silence at the right time can have a powerful impact on an audience. Now let's hear a unique take on a classic tale to make a point about success.
A boy named Murray lived with his widowed mother on a farm. The farm wasn't doing so hot. You really can't grow mangoes in Nebraska. So the mother decided that they had to sell the family cow. So Murray told the cow the bad news. The cow didn't take it very well at all. Along the way to town, Murray met a man along the road. "Where are you going with that fine-looking cow?" said the man. "I'm going into town to sell her," said Murray. "Well, I have some magic beans that I will trade for her." Magic beans. That sounds really good, thought Murray. Yeah, Murray wasn't too bright. So Murray traded the cow to the man for magic beans. Murray went home and told his mother that he had traded the cow for magic beans. She was very angry and sent Murray to bed without any supper and threw the magic beans to the ground. That night, the beans grew into a giant beanstalk. Yeah, it was a beanstalk. And it reached high into the sky. The next morning, Murray saw what the beans had become, and he was amazed. Murray decided to climb up the beanstalk and see what he could find. When he reached the top of the beanstalk, he was in a magical land, and there was a huge castle off in the distance. He walked to the huge front door of the castle and knocked, but nobody answered. Murray, having done time in juvie for second-story work, let himself in. Murray searched every room in the castle. He came to a room that had a golden singing harp, a goose that laid golden eggs, a big pot of gold, and a big screen television. Murray hit it rich. He was going to take home all the stuff that he saw in the room, even the big screen television. Just at that moment, Murray heard footsteps coming toward the castle door. He looked out the window and he saw a giant ogre coming toward the castle. You see, the ogre owned the castle and everything in it. The giant ogre chased Mary all around the castle. Mary scooped up the loot and ran towards the beanstalk. The giant ogre chased after him, but he tripped over his feet as he neared the beanstalk, and he fell all the way down. Boom! He broke both his arms and both his legs. Mary showed his mother all the loot he stole found at the top of the beanstalk. She was amazed. Just at that time, 50 pulled up. They had heard that somebody was growing an illegal beanstalk. Yeah, beanstalk. Mary's mom had to think quick. She had to figure out something to say to the police. Explain how she got all this loot and what is that beanstalk. She finally decided to give Mary up to the popo. He's doing 10 to 20 now in state prison. Mary's mom ended up marrying the guy who sold Mary the magic beans, and him and she grew giant beanstalks. Yeah, giant beanstalks. They lived happily ever after. The giant ogre recovered from his injuries and sued everybody in state. He lives in Florida now and spends a lot of time on the beach. The moral of this story is, don't depend on magic beans to achieve success. Success is hard work and smarts.